Hi, I'm Helen Bauer, and this is the Heart of Hospice podcast. The Heart of Hospice podcast is your source for compassionate and informative discussions about hospice and end-of-life care. I'm a certified hospice and palliative care nurse with over 15 years of experience. Whether you're a caregiver, someone with a serious illness, or you simply need to know more about hospice care, this podcast is for you. Join me as we explore all the aspects of hospice, from the details of caregiving to the emotional and spiritual dimensions of end-of-life journeys. For more resources and to connect with me, visit theheartofhospice.com and find us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Keep listening for today's episode.
This is the Whole Care Network. Helping you tell your story one podcast at a time. Content presented in the following podcast is for information purposes only. Views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the host and guest and may not represent the views and opinions of the Whole Care Network. Always consult with your physician for any medical advice, and always consult with your attorney for any legal advice. And thank you for listening to the Whole Care Network.
This episode is being sponsored by Halo Care. Whether you're supporting an aging parent or planning for your own independence, Halo Care empowers you to live confidently at home. From personal care and home safety to meaningful social connection, Halo Care gives you peace of mind knowing someone's always there. Learn more at halocaregroup.com/USA or check the show notes for the link. Halo Care, where technology meets compassion and home feels like home. This episode is sponsored by Hospice Navigation Services. When you need information about hospice, Hospice Navigation Services is here to help. An expert navigator will answer your questions about end-of-life care and give you the tools to feel confident in your decisions. A hospice navigation session is a great way to troubleshoot your current hospice care. It's your journey. We can be your guide. Visit hospicenavigation.com to schedule your hospice navigation session today.
In today's episode, I'm talking with a pediatric end-of-life doula whose work brings empathy, courage, and comfort to families facing the unimaginable. Alexandra Dionisio is a certified end-of-life doula specializing in pediatric hospice care and end-of-life Reiki. She's also the host of the Learning to Say Goodbye podcast, where she explores death, grief, and spirituality through cross-cultural conversations. After losing 4 people she loved in quick succession, none of whom she got to say goodbye to, Alexandra transformed her grief into a mission, helping families say the goodbyes she never got to. Before becoming a death doula and a writer, Alexandra worked as a wedding planner, so her life has really been on a path of celebrating beginnings, moving towards honoring endings. Her memoir, Learning to Say Goodbye, a memoir of grief and trust, offers an honest look at grief without any toxic positivity, and it describes how she learned to sit with hard truths and face them with an open heart. You can find the book on Amazon, and you can find the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and you can connect with Alexandra's work at learningtosaygoodbye.com. In her role as a pediatric end-of-life doula, Alexandra guides families through the process of saying goodbye in ways that bring comfort and support to the parents. She's using her training as a Reiki master to help families navigate the death of a child. She admits to being a skeptic herself when it comes to spirituality and the use of Reiki, and she shared with me the story of an event that changed her mind. The grief of the parents is one of the most challenging aspects of Alexandra's work as a death doula, as it moves from anticipatory grief to the child's death. This is a great interview. It's a hard topic, but a great interview. So I hope you'll stay connected for the whole thing. There's a lot to learn. Alexandra, thanks for joining me on the show. Welcome to the Heart of Hospice podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk to you.
I'm thrilled to have you. So we're going to start with an icebreaker question. I'll just toss out to you. It's one of my favorite ones. Tell me something special that's in your advanced care plan. I know, I blindsided you.
Oh my God. All right. I'm going to switch up. So I'm not going to talk about the advanced care plan because I think that the funny thing is in my will. I have a huge love for the city of Florence in Italy. It's my place. It's just the one place in the world where I really feel at home. So I told my family that when I die, I want you to take my ashes and put them in a little salt shaker. And you walk to all the places that I love in Florence and you sprinkle me all over the place, just like
I like
a
the salt
dog going,
shaker idea.
like a dog
marking
peeing on every corner.
Like marking.
Yes,
Oh my gosh.
like marking, because it's not really allowed. You're not really allowed to spread ashes in a city like that. So you have to be a bit more, hidden about it. But yeah, I insist on the salt shaker because we have to have a bit of class. You can't have a plastic baggie, that's no.
Right. You want it to look classy. Even if it is a little illegal, just do it very quietly.
That's
shake
fine.
a little
That's
bit.
fine.
I
That's
love
fine.
that. I absolutely
Yeah.
love that.
Mhm.
Do your kids, does your family know this yet?
Oh, I keep reminding them all the time. I tell them all the time. It's written down, but I keep telling them over and over. I'm like, this is what you have to do. Don't forget.
What did they think about that?
The first time they thought I was really morbid. But over the years, they got used to the fact that mom works at end of life and I talk about death all the time. Well, try not to talk about it excessively, but it's like it's not a taboo subject.
Right. It's a normal conversation for us. Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
I really like that. The salt shaker is good.
Yeah. I hope nobody in Florence.
Yeah, nobody.
Yeah, they don't hear this right now. Like nobody from the government. Like, okay, what is she doing? This is illegal. We have to stop people from doing that.
But you have to admit, a salt shaker is pretty innocuous. You see them all over the place.
They would never know.
Nobody would
They'd
really
never
pay
know.
any attention.
Just don't leave it on the table at any restaurant by accident.
Oh, Alexandra, that is so
Sorry.
bad.
Oh my God, yeah.
I can see how that's something that could be in a movie. That would be pretty bad. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, so you talk about death, you talk about dying. How did you become interested in end-of-life work to begin with?
Well, it was definitely not something that I grew up thinking I would do. I was not 5 years old thinking I'm going to become an end-of-life doula. That's what I want to do. It kind of life led me that way. As for many people that worked with end of life, it was loss really that brought me to that work. I lost 4 people that were very, very close to my heart. My mother first, 2 close friends, and then my very, very best friend. She was killed in a car crash, and I wasn't able to say goodbye to any of them. So when you lose people like that without the opportunity to say goodbye, grief becomes its own kind of death. It becomes its own thing that you have to deal with. Of course, I have no comparison, but for me, it just became a huge thing I had to work through for many years. And with the help of trust and learning to see signs and just being open to what life has to offer, it guided me towards end-of-life work. And then all of a sudden, I found myself working with dying children and their family.
And so this is to me, this is its own special section of working with folks who are seriously ill and dying, and that's pediatric hospice. So today you're going to be walking me through this. I have never done any pediatric hospice. Listen, a lot of people, I can do death and dying right along with you, but I don't want to do children. This is not my thing. This is not a silo that I have ever worked in. So you did your doula training, and you were doing it during the pandemic.
Yes.
How do you think the pandemic affects the work that you do now? Because we are different in how we look at things when it comes to dying.
Yeah. So during the pandemic, I felt it just became way more apparent to me that people dying alone is, which happened during the pandemic all the time, obviously.
Yes.
It just became such an important topic for me. It's like it became really apparent. This is a work that is so important. Not only, I mean, of course, the pandemic really brought it to light that dying alone is something terrible, but what I realized is that connection at the end of life, whatever that may look like, is key to my work. Not only connection, but of course, because I wasn't able to say those final words to my loved ones, I made it the center of my work. My work centers around allowing families to say those final words, to say the goodbyes that for a mother or a father are almost impossible to say. And especially, I think the pandemic made me realize that this kind of connection, not only parents to children, but also, adults when they pass away, it really changes the way somebody dies when they have connection.
When you think about a parent saying goodbye to a child, a death of a child at a younger age is an unnatural goodbye. A natural goodbye for us as parents is your kid goes off to college.
Yeah.
Your kid moves to his or her first home. It creates, makes a family of their own and has their own children. That's a very natural progression. It seems unnatural to have a goodbye when your child is young.
Oh, it is. And not just when they're young. I think at any point when a parent loses a child, no matter the age, because, there's a certain progression in life. We grow up thinking, okay, we're born, we grow up, we go through puberty, we become adults. And then at some point, we grow old and we die. And so we're used to seeing our grandparents, our parents grow older. And we expect, okay, first the grandparents are going to pass away and then the parents. And there's a natural order to things.
Right.
When death comes early, that order is not there anymore, and it leaves us completely dumbstruck.
Yeah.
As parents, this is not natural to lose your child at any age. And the goodbye is always hard. Of course, especially the younger they are, the harder it is. But I think for a parent, it's always unnatural to say goodbye to your child.
Yeah, it's out of sync. The progression isn't appropriate. It's your grandparents and then your parents. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. So pediatric hospice can be very grueling work. Where do you find joy in working with kids who are seriously ill and with their parents?
Yeah. I hear that question often because most people can't imagine working in that space.
Right.
Because it is our worst nightmare. It's everybody's worst nightmare to lose their child. And yes, it can be hard at times. What's the hardest for me is usually witnessing the parents' grief. Because as a mother myself, I don't want to empathize, but obviously you do empathy. You just put yourself in their shoes for a minute. And I try not to do that because that pulls me out of the moment. When I go into a child's home, I usually take a few breaths before to really ground myself and be in the moment. Leave my own thoughts, my own concerns, my own emotions in regards to loss and death behind, and really be there for them completely. So being allowed to enter somebody's home at that crucial time of life, at the very end of it, I see it as a gift to myself. It's such a sacred moment to be able to support families at that moment, to allow them that final connection, to allow them to change the energy in the home from fear, anticipatory grief. It's almost a density that you feel. When you walk into a home of a child that's dying, it's almost like you're walking into a wall. It's a wall of energy that sits on you really, really, really heavy. And with the work I do, I'm able to shift this slightly. So what I do, basically, I do end-of-life Reiki. I'm a Reiki master, and I use Reiki at the end of life to connect parents and children with energy. Because I found as a parent, it's really hard to say those final words. How can you say, literally, with your words, it's okay to go?
Yeah.
Good. How can you say goodbye to your child? We don't have in the human language enough words to express the love that a parent feels for their child. But I found words are energy, thoughts are energy, right? So when I use Reiki and I connect parents and children at this sacred moment, words become obsolete and they communicate on a pure heart-to-heart energy level. And it is something really beautiful because it lifts just for a moment that fear. And this heart-to-heart connection is something that I'm able to witness, but they're really feeling it. And that fear shifts and they have the opportunity to be present and to allow space for the witnessing and the presence, which changes the way a child dies all the time.
And this is why hospice nurses, end-of-life doulas, anybody working in end-of-life care, this is why we do what we do. This is where the joy is that we've made a difference. For you, it's creating a connection in a moment that is heavy, that weighs so hard. And I can imagine there's resistance to it. We do talk a lot about people who say, okay, you need to tell grandma or mom, it's okay to go. We're going to be all right. I would think that those are words that a parent doesn't ever want to say. It's not okay to go.
No.
Even when they know in the practical part of their brain that the child is dying, it's inevitable, there's no cure, and to move forward, death is the only option.
Yeah.
But you're not going to say to your child, it's okay to go, because it's never going to be okay.
No. But if you're able to connect them through this energy, they're able to show all their love and all the care and all the, because they do want their child to go. They want the child to be able to let go and go peacefully. But as a parent, you have this voice in your head. I can't say that to my child. I want to hold on. I want them to stay. I feel like I'm betraying them if I say that.
Yeah, good parents don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But through pure energy, that goes away. We don't judge ourselves on an energetic level. And the only thing that counts in that moment is love. And that's the only thing that transmits through energy. So it's a really sacred moment that always leaves me with a sense of gratitude and awe. Because witnessing something that's sacred there's sacredness in how I'm able to witness this connection of pure love. There's sacredness in witnessing a child letting go of anxiety and fear at that moment and being able to be just held in love and in presence. So it's not just the gift that I offer the parents through the energy work, but it's the gift that they offer me. It is just incredible to witness, and it leaves me feeling humbled and honored. And children allowed me to lose my own fear of death.
Tell me about this.
Which is one of the biggest gifts. So if you witness parents and children during an end-of-life Reiki session, you can literally feel the energy in the house shift from this dense feeling of oppression and fear and anxiety that I mentioned earlier. All of a sudden, there is a certain lightness to it. There is a groundedness to it. And the energy that I feel from the children, there's no fear. There is no sense of, I'm scared, this is bizarre, this is strange, I don't know what's happening. There is a peacefulness about it. And occasionally, that might sound a bit woo-woo, because it did sound woo-woo to me as well at the beginning.
Sure.
I can feel their souls. And okay, we got to go a little bit backwards here in this. I used to be a big skeptic with anything in regards to spirituality or religion or any of those things. But when I found my way to Reiki started to open doors to different kind of truth to me. The first time when I used my end-of-life Reiki on a child, I all of a sudden had a vision. And it freaked me out because I'm like, I don't know. I've never had a vision. I don't know what that is. And what the heck is going on? I'm going crazy. Am I losing my mind? He was very much at the end. It's hard to judge at that point if it's a week, if it's a few days. It's hard to measure, but I would have guessed it's a few days. He wasn't conscious anymore. So I asked the parents to sit with me around the child and put their hands on him, and I did my Reiki, and I usually go in a meditative state. I close my eyes and I let the energy do its thing. And suddenly I see a little boy pop up behind the dad going, peekaboo. I'm like, what? I had my eyes closed, yet I saw that light as day right in front of me. So I open my eyes and I'm freaked out, and I look around and everybody's still very calm in the same pose, eyes closed, focused on the child. I'm like, what the heck is going on? I started to freak out a little bit, but I tried to compose myself again, went back into my meditation, tried it again, and it happened again. This time behind Mom. Peekaboo.
Oh, wow.
And it was a beautiful little boy. I mean, he was just really cute. And at this point, I'm like, okay, the Reiki session has gone to hell. This is ridiculous. I don't even know what I'm doing here. This is freaking me out. So I brought the Reiki session to an end, and we talked a little bit about it. And then I walk out and I see a photo on the wall. And there's the little boy. And it was, in fact, my patient. But I couldn't put two and two really together, because at the point when I saw him, he looked nothing like he used to look when he was healthy and happy and very much alive. So I asked Mom if she knows if peekaboo means anything to her. And she said peekaboo was one of his favorite games to play. He had an osteosarcoma, and towards the end, when he was on crutches and couldn't walk very well, he would hide behind a tree, crutches sticking out left and right. Everybody could see him, of course, but he would still pretend. He would hide and try to scare people, and everybody had to pretend to be scared, and he would laugh and had such a great time. And that's what he showed me. He died 2 days later. So that was the first time that something really extraordinary happened, and it made me realize our souls are not really bound to our body the way we think they are. They're also not bound to the sick body in a sick state. Our soul is as pure and happy and healthy as it has always been.
That's amazing. As a hospice nurse, I'm a skeptic. Spirituality has not been my area of practice. And I'm learning every day from every colleague, every guest, every family that I talk to. So you said something that I find fascinating, that the spirit is not connected to the dying and the death.
Especially at the end, yes.
Yes, the way the body is, obviously.
Exactly. I found many times, this happened a few times, that I go to somebody's home and the child is lying in front of me, and usually not conscious at this point, and I sense the soul right next to me or somewhere else. They move around. They're still attached to the body in a sense of it feels to me like then they're not able to move further away, but they're able to move within the room. Maybe they go check on Mom, maybe they go somewhere else, but they're not as connected to the body as we think, which also makes me hope that when we're so in fear of how much pain are they going through, how much are they suffering, that at this point, the soul is already able to detach.
Right. I have heard it described that way, that, it's like deathbed visioning, where people are talking and interacting with someone else who has died prior to them. And I've heard it described that way, that the spirit, the soul, is going on ahead. The body's still doing the work of dying, but the spirit is able to move because it's not connected the same way. It's not weighed down by the disease. So it's going on ahead. It's very interesting. Very interesting. I'm learning about pediatric end-of-life doula work from Alexandra, and I hope you are too. Stay connected to hear more after the break.
What if aging at home didn't have to mean being alone? At Halo Care, we're redefining what at-home care can be. combining cutting-edge technology with real human compassion. Our 24/7 Care Hub team is always there, offering peace of mind for families, caregivers, and seniors alike. With Halo Care, safety at home comes first. Through smart home technology, wellness monitoring, and personal connection that helps people live independently and confidently. Whether you're a family caregiver, a healthcare professional, or someone looking for extra support to stay at home, Halo Care is here to help. Visit halocaregroup.com/USA or check the show notes for our link, or call 888-247-7102 to learn how Halo Care can make home the safest place to be, because care should always feel personal, human, and connected. This episode is sponsored by Hospice Navigation Services.
If you or someone you care about is dealing with a life-limiting illness, you need a guide. Hospice Navigation Services is here to help you get the best end-of-life care possible. We understand the importance of personalized, experienced support. Hospice navigators provide one-on-one support over the phone or through video calls to guide you every step of the way. They'll answer your questions, explain what hospice care looks like, and give you the tools to feel confident in your decisions. Whether you're planning ahead or you have an urgent need, Hospice Navigation Services helps you and your family understand your options for end-of-life care. A hospice navigation session is a great way to troubleshoot your current hospice care and get answers to your questions. You don't have to go through this alone. You deserve compassionate support and guidance for your end-of-life experience. Hospice Navigation Services can be your guide. To book your hospice navigation session and receive your free guide to end-of-life care, visit our website at hospicenavigation.com. It's your journey. Hospice Navigation Services can be your guide. So, what challenges you the most these days when it comes to doing end-of-life doula work with children?
What challenges me the most? I would say, all right, this sounds really boring, but bureaucracy is something that is most challenging at the moment. COVID has left us with a lot of regulations around end-of-life work. All the vaccinations, of course, you need to have at some point we had to have face shields and masks and all of these things that blocked us from our patient, which made it really, really hard, especially for the kind of work I do. It's all about connection. It's all about being there and being present, and especially with children. And that was one of the hardest things I had to deal with, figuring out how to work around that.
Yeah.
That was the hardest. In terms of emotional challenges, yeah, it's the grief of the parents.
Tell me.
It's the grief of the parents that is the hardest, especially the anticipatory grief. That moment when the door opens and I step in and the parents look at you and there's a glimmer of hope. Every time a door opens to a deathbed, there's a glimmer of hope that somebody's going to come and rescue them.
Yeah.
That somebody's going to come to make this stop. I remember this look because I had this look when my mom passed away. She had cancer and she did not allow us to say goodbye because up until the last moment she had hope. She's like, I'm not dying. I'm getting through this. We're not talking about death. I'm getting through this. So then by the time when she couldn't talk anymore, I had that same feeling. Every time that hospital door opened and somebody came in, and it's not even a conscious thing. It's just heart that yearns for relief, for somebody to come and save you. And it's that look. It's that look in the parents' eyes. That's probably one of the hardest things.
Yeah. When you didn't have the opportunity to say goodbye, because your mom was driving the bus at that point, she didn't want to do that with you. Do you feel like she took something from you because you weren't able to have that?
I used to think that. I used to think that my mom was always a very strong person. She was always very, there's this wonderful word in German. It's called Arschbacken zusammenkneif Mentalität. I know. It's
I'm
a
not going to
mouthful.
even try to
No,
repeat that.
no. It's like literal translation would be pinch your butt cheeks together and get through it. So it's like, it's just like you suck it up and you get through it.
So clinch, and get through it. I got you. So yeah,
Yes.
basically in tacky American, it's suck it up.
Exactly. It's basically suck it up.
Grin and bear it. Yeah.
Yeah. And she had this attitude all her life about everything. And it is a wonderful strength to have in many situations. But at the end of life, it barred my father and I from getting the closure that we needed, saying those things that are so important. And at the beginning, the first months after her death, I was upset about that. I was angry. I was angry that we didn't get to this, but I also had to respect those were her wishes. This was her choice. It was her death, not mine. I'm still alive. I can work through my emotions. I can, figure out how to deal with the grief, but this was her choice. In hindsight, it was probably the first thing that put me on the path that I am right now, making my life work all about learning to say goodbye, teaching people how to say goodbye, and being able to allow people to have those moments that I didn't have. And that was a gift in itself.
So you feel like now that it was a gift, you view it differently.
It makes sense. Yeah. It makes sense now. I was angry every time I lost somebody and I didn't have that chance. I was just, why does that always happen to me? And this doubt. But I recently heard a term, actually in one of my podcast episodes that I had recently had an interview, and somebody called it post-traumatic growth. Post-traumatic growth symptom. So, we have post-traumatic stress disorder, of course, those things, but there's also a thing called post-traumatic growth. And I think that's what I went through because I did not have the chance to say goodbye 4 times. Yet instead of letting this grief block me, I used it as a driving force to guide me to where I am right now.
I absolutely love that.
So I'm very grateful. Yeah.
I don't think that just happens. I think you probably have to work at it. And you had a mindset, right? You were open-minded.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it led you to work. I think you must have had a heart that was receptive to that kind of thing to begin with, because I don't think that's true for many people. I think post-traumatic growth it's hard work.
It's hard work. I don't know if it's work. I think it's more of a willingness to see the opportunities.
Yes.
When you're in the middle of grief, it is really hard to do that, obviously, because grief is so all-encompassing. It's all around you. But again, I came through it in a very strange way. After my best friend passed, I happened to see a medium, not by choice, just by coincidence. I met her at an event, and after she gave me a couple of messages that kind of confirmed that they were from my friend, she said, "Your friend has a message for you." And I was excited. I was like, "Oh my God, is she going to tell me how the car crash happened? Is she going to give me all the answers that I needed?"
Oh, yeah.
And she gave me trust. I'm like, "What do you mean? Just the word trust? Like, trust what? Trust whom? What am I going to do with that now? What do I do with trust?" And she's like, "I don't know. That's all she says. That's trust." I'm like,
she just
well,
the messenger
please.
to pass on the word.
Yeah.
That was
Thank you. Like, what am I going to do with that? It really, it left me a bit dumbstruck at that moment. But since then, it has become my guiding light. Trust is something that is so essential, especially when we're going through grief. If we're able to see little signs, if you trust the things that come into your life, if you trust the people and the messages that come repeatedly, there is a reason for it. So I think the word trust just opened like an antenna on my head. It's like, okay, I see things, I'm perceiving them as they come. And that's how Reiki came into my life. I thought Reiki was spiritual mumbo jumbo stuff, but it just kept popping up. People kept talking about it, and I saw pictures of it, and I saw them on TV, and I saw ads. I'm like, okay, well, I have to try this. But I'm a control freak. So I didn't want to just go to some Reiki person and then, especially when I started Googling it and I saw like angel Reiki and fire Reiki and all of this weird stuff with crystals. And I'm like, I'm very suspicious of this. So what does a control freak do? A control freak has to go and learn it instead of just having a session. So I can judge by myself that it doesn't work. Yeah, but then Reiki surprised me, and it was like, well, actually, it does really work, and it's incredible, and it changed my life. So, yeah.
What do you think your best friend would say to you about this? Would she laugh?
She would laugh. Like I told you, she would laugh. She would laugh. She never used to believe in any of these things either. And to watch me go through this right now and all of the things that I experience, yeah, I think she would have a blast. She probably has a blast wherever she's watching from, going me through my own trials and tribulations every time something insane happens at the bedside of a dying child.
I love it.
Yeah, I can just hear her.
So let's switch gears for just a second. If you were sitting with parents who have a seriously ill child who need to consider end-of-life care and the support of an end-of-life doula, what would you tell parents about choosing a doula and getting information about what death doulas do?
Mm-hmm. So there's not as many death doulas yet as I would like there to be. But there are some wonderful organizations that, depending on where you live, you can Google that and you can find your local organizations that do it. Usually a hospice service can help as well. But the wonderful thing about doulas as well, if you're not even ready for hospice yet, doulas are wonderful patient advocates, as you know. They can help with that as well. But yeah, the internet is your friend in that regard. Obviously, in this case, pediatric doulas are a little bit harder to come by, but hospice is usually very well equipped to cover that if there's not necessarily doula available, but they have other services that are very, very, very wonderfully supportive at the end of life. But yeah, I mean, I'm based in LA, of course, so I'm not all over the place, but there's definitely places also, people that they can reach out to and get online support if necessary, which is a beautiful thing as well nowadays, thank God, the internet. But in any case, I would always suggest get a doula. They're a wonderful person to have by your side, to walk with you. I'm sure you've covered this many times already on your podcast, the role of a doula and what they do. So as a non-medical professional, yes, they're there for emotional support, to guide you through the last stage of life, whatever that entails. If that is legacy art, for example, which is another part of my work that I absolutely love, creating little artworks with the children, their parents. What's so wonderful about legacy art is, so I'm an artist. I love painting and drawing. And I mean, I'm sure we all have childhood memories of getting our hands to the paint and putting them on paper, and the way the paint smells and the way the paper feels under your hand, right? So when I come into a room of a terminally ill child and I bring out all my colors and paints and brushes, and you start to smell it and the texture, and it lights up a light in the child's eye and in the parent's eye, because we're creating new happy memories at a point where they thought they had all run out of happy memories already. So it is such a beautiful moment, because even just for a few minutes, you know, the tactile act of painting your child's hands with finger paint and placing it on paper, or cleaning the hands afterwards, and the way the colors mix on the paper, and it just brings back so many of your own childhood memories and a spark of happiness. And it's a beautiful, beautiful little time capsule. And they're left with a piece of art that marks a very, very important part of their life.
And it's not about being sick. It's not about treatment or maintenance.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's creating a new memory when you thought you had run out of them already.
That's beautiful. I love that way of looking at legacy projects. It's creating a new memory. I love that. Alexandra, so the work that you're doing is amazing. You have a beautiful memoir online. How can listeners connect with you, find your book, and listen to your podcast as well?
Yeah, so the podcast is called Learning to Say Goodbye, and it's available where podcasts are available. I cover all sorts of things, end of life related. As you know, people don't really like to talk about death. So I thought, let's make it more approachable and let's talk about all sorts of different areas. Talk to mediums, talk to authors, talk to doctors, people that had near-death experiences, talk to people that use death as a muse. Yeah, it really, I love it because I'm a very curious person. And sometimes when I meet interesting people in real life, I want to ask them all these questions, but it's considered impolite. You can't just ask all these questions all the time. But hey, with the podcast, you can. And Helen, I'm sure you can relate to that, right?
Yep, that's what it's designed to do.
Exactly. You get to ask all the fun questions. Yeah, so that's the podcast. The memoir is also called Learning to Say Goodbye, and it's available where all books are available on Amazon, and it's available as an ebook as well. And yeah, and there's my website, of course, same name. And there I also talk about my end of life Reiki for pets, which I do as well, which is also close to my heart. That's it. That's me.
I love your energy. I
Thank
love the
you.
energy that you exude. I wish the podcast was going out in video form so people could see how your face lights up. Yeah,
I
especially
don't like
when you
to
were
see
talking.
myself on video.
Oh, nobody does. Nobody does. But the
No.
way you light up when you talk about the legacy art projects, the
Mm-hmm.
legacy art, doing that with a child and a family, it's amazing. Obviously, the energy that you bring to work, the work that you do shines through. And thank you for sharing it with our listeners. I just love what you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I love talking to you. We could talk for hours. You should have a coffee with us.
You're on. Thanks for listening to the Heart of Hospice podcast. Check out our sponsor in the show notes and please leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. We would appreciate it if you would share this episode with your friends and family and anyone who needs to know more about hospice. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, no matter who you are or where you are in your hospice journey, you are the heart of hospice.
This is the Whole Care Network. Helping you tell your story one podcast at a time.